Hi guys, welcome to webinar number 5. We're looking at stress today. Quite a biggie, it could potentially be quite long, so bear with me. Stress is one of the main causes of employee sickness in the UK, along with lower back pain and depression. So it kind of like tells you that stress has become a really big issue within our society. And the problem is there are stresses from all factors. There could be relationship stresses, money stresses, kids stressing. Maybe you've lost your job, you're being made redundant, suffering with depression, having anxiety, not sleeping. The list goes on and on and on. But you need to remember that stress is not necessarily your enemy. We all need stress. Stress is what motivates you to get up in the morning. It's just that's a healthy kind of stress. Getting so stressed out that you're almost in tears because you're in a queue at Sainsbury's is not a healthy stress. And I use that example because I've been there. Now, your blood can tell you an awful lot about you. There's 2 pictures here. One on the left showing acidic cellular fluid, and then the one on the right is showing alkaline cellular fluid. There is stacks of information available about the benefits of an alkaline diet. Now, I had my bloods first read about 3.5 years ago, and what I saw shocked me. The gentleman that did my analysis, Phil Richards, could tell that I was on medication. He knew diseases that I'd had as a child. He knew that I'd had significant mental health issues throughout my life. Basically, the picture on the left shows fairly stagnant cells. The little holes that you can see, I don't know whether you can see my cursor. I don't mean the ones that are cloudy, but the ones that actually have a small piece missing on the middle. That's normally indicative of a heavy drinker. The cloudiness is indicative of somebody that is taking prescribed meds. Now, this clumping here, where you can see them all stuck together, they shouldn't be like that. That's a lack of oxygen in the blood. So you need to up your intake of leafy green vegetables to get that oxygenation going. The picture on the right shows them all separate. Again, still on meds, but you've got less. In fact, can I see any with holes in? I can see one. And it's just a much, much healthier blood picture. Now, when I had mine first done, mine was far worse than this picture on the left. It was just literally a mass of clumped blood cells. I was lethargic, I was tired, I was run down, I was very stressed out. I had them done again 2 years later, because when you leave from your consultation, you're left with a protocol. So you have a list of alkaline foods that you should be eating and a fairly, I have to say, expensive supplement regime. However, for me, I embraced it. 2 years later, I had some very happy blood cells bouncing around, looking much, much better. And I felt, and still do feel, amazing having adopted those changes. However, you can get everything that you need without the supplements. The supplements just speed up the process, that's all. Now, this is a very short list and by no means exclusive of alkaline foods. Your yellow columns showing the acidic, and then the greener we get, the most alkaline. So ironically, people think lemons are acidic. They're not. They're acidic when you eat them, but by the time they hit the stomach, they're alkaline. So that's fine. So you want to be filling your diet with all these green foods, and then try and limit the ones on the left for your acidic foods. Basically, acidic foods make the body work far harder. They have a much, much tougher job of processing all the toxins. So we just want to give the digestive system a bit of a break. Now, the Honest Food Guide. The Guru Food Guide built to benefit you, not big business. I love the analogy of eat all the colours of the rainbow because I just don't think you can go wrong. Tomatoes, peppers, cranberries, raspberries, apples, beans and strawberries for your red. Carrots, pumpkins, oranges, sweet potatoes, cantaloupe, melon, peaches, apricots and mango for your orange. Your yellows are your squash, your corn, your legumes, lemons, bananas, eggs, grapefruit, mushrooms, pineapples, sesame seeds, macadamia nuts, cashews, peanuts, quinoa, chickpeas, almonds, pecans, walnuts, brown rice, ginger and beans. You might dispute, I suppose, the mushrooms being yellow, but hey-ho. The green, you've got your peppers, your cabbages, your beans, your limes, your spinach, your kale, your honeydew lemon, your avocados, your pears, pesto, celery, zucchini, or as we call it, aubergine, and courgette, not aubergine. courgette even, sorry. Purple, your blueberries, your blackberries, your currants, beetroots, your red cabbage, there's your eggplant, your aubergine. And then your white, you will see is not very many. Potatoes, tofu, onions, garlic, whole oats and cauliflower. Basically, I'm going to leave you to read through this, so click back on it in your own time. Basically, everything on the right here is leading towards health. Everything on the left is leading towards disease. Now, I'm a huge proponent of we are totally in charge of our own health. So you need to be doing everything that you can to get yourself as healthy as you can. If you are physically healthy, it'll be much, much better to be emotionally healthy, and vice versa. The two work hand in hand. So if you look on the health side, we're looking at sunlight, water, raw fruits, vegetables, berries, sprouts and broccoli, alfalfa, soy, tofu and soy milk, although I have to say I'm a little bit undecided about soy at the moment because it can be very heavily processed. Healthy oils, flax, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, sesame seeds, hemp, avocados, nuts, cashews, almonds, peanuts, fish oils, sprouted grains. You can get a wonderful pack from Waitrose of those. Sea vegetables like kelp, whole grains, microalgae, so things like spirulina. I would always say go for the capsule format because spirulina tastes vile. Molasses, whole food concentrates, bran, oats, rice, protein powders, but make sure they're hemp or vegan based, and wheat germ. Disease, the foods that are more likely, I'm not going to say they are, but they are more likely to take you to disease. Red meats, donuts, pastries, sodas, diet sodas, canned soups, snack chips, that even says, flavoured snacks, juice drinks, fruit punch, candy bars, chewy granola bars, milk, cheese and dairy, crackers and cookies, breakfast cereals, processed meats, instant rice and grains, frozen fried food, bread that's non-whole grain, snack dips and artificial guacamole and hummus and those kind of things, shortening, salad dressing and diet shakes and meal shakes. Alongside those, you can see exactly why they're in the healthy and why they're in the disease. Good one to print out too, that one. Okay, stress can be hugely exacerbated by mercury poisoning. If you Google British Dental Association, you will come up with a YouTube clip of the Chief Executive of the British Dental Association trying to argue that mercury is not toxic. Now, my simple question would be, if mercury is not toxic, then why, when they drop a thermometer in a school, is the school automatically evacuated? So if it's not a problem with it, why evacuate the school? The problem with mercury fillings is that you have it put in, fill a hole in your tooth. Every time you chew, you are grinding against that piece of mercury. That mercury leaves vapours, which then infiltrate all of your blood and cells. And this damages you throughout your body, particularly your thyroid gland. Okay, so you've got a picture here of the thyroid gland in the middle, you've got the larynx at the top, the suprathyroid artery, your isthmus, your common carotid artery, the trachea, and the inferior thyroid artery. All I want you interested in is the thyroid gland, and it is so important. Now, issues with thyroid, so you sometimes find people are becoming more and more aware of mercury poisoning, so they're choosing to have their mercury fillings taken out. First and foremost, if you're going to have mercury fillings taken out, you've got to be really careful who you choose. Go to an authorised dentist who knows what on earth they're doing, and make sure you put a strong detox protocol in place to try and get all the mercury out of your system. Again, if you're interested in that, email me. Iodine is essential for healthy thyroid functioning. I have a lot of clients who are on thyroxine, and for most of them, not all, but for most of them, we've managed to get them off thyroxine by doing an iodine supplement. So basically your oily fish, crab, spirulina, they are all great sources of iodine, or you can buy it in drops. I recommend Lugol's iodine. Again, you can Google it, and you just add a couple of drops to a glass of water. It doesn't taste of anything, and just drink it. Now, you remember the picture of the cells. Let me come back up here. If your cells are clumpy, you need to oxygenate the blood. The quickest and easiest way of doing this, there are two products. If you go with Nature's Sunshine, it's liquid chlorophyll, or you can go through Phil Richards and you can buy something called Oxylift. Liquid chlorophyll is a green drink, basically. Tastes vaguely minty, but they always say it tastes mintier than it actually does. Oxylift is similar to the iodine, and it just comes in a little bottle with a pipette, and you just put a couple of drops in your water and you drink it. But oxygenating your blood is one of the biggest things you can do to feel better and to feel good. Okay, stress, my wonderful word of the day. What is stress? Stress is a physical response to a perceived stimuli that make you feel threatened or upsets your balance in some way. It's the body's way of protecting you. It's trying to look after you. But there's only two modes for stress, fight or flight. So the body will straight away move you into a high gear. The body does not care if you are stressing out because somebody's dawdling in front of you in Sainsbury's, or if you're about to be hit by a train. The body's physical response is exactly the same. The body is trying to save your life, and it's trying to meet the challenge that has put you under the stress in the first place. So just digest the fact that if you are stressing out and overreacting about day-to-day events that you can't control if somebody's dawdling on the checkout in front of you. You can't control if you've got old Granny Ann in front of you driving at 15 miles an hour and it's on a single track lane. There's nothing you can do, so why are you stressing? No point. Yeah? You wouldn't want to put your body in unnecessary stress and get those hormones pumping around unless you actually need them. I got two of those, I have. Okay. There are two types of stress. There's eustress and distress. Eustress is good stress. It's the stress that gets you motivated to get things done. It's that, oh my God, you know, when you're at college, oh my God, I've got to get that essay done. It's got to be in tomorrow, 5,000 words. That's good stress. Gets you motivated. Distress is the stuff that makes your shoulders go tight, makes your neck go stiff, puts a permanent frown on your face, means you can't enjoy life because you're constantly worrying about other things. So we want more of eustress and less of distress. Okay, what is an adrenaline junkie? Me. I'm your prime example. So I love doing loads of things at the same time. I love multitasking. I love being busy. I love being absolutely pushed to my limit. And I thrive on it. On here it says you thrive on chaos. You live with a sense of urgency and you enjoy the feeling of too much. It's why I skydive as a hobby. Best feeling in the world as far as I'm concerned. But sometimes you can end up snapping at other people for no reason. I'll put my hand up to that one. You wonder what you actually accomplished despite all your rushing around. I'll put my hand up to that one. And you sometimes fall in a heap at the end of the day. And I'll definitely put my hand up to that one. So something's not quite right on your balance then. So, is this you? Do you find yourself eating more quickly than those around you? So do you wolf it down, you don't chew it? Do you eat lunch at your desk or on the go more than 3 times a week? Do you drive fast even when you're not in a hurry? If you had 3 weeks to finish something, would you still leave it to the last minute? And is it hard to imagine yourself doing absolutely nothing? Just sitting. No TV, no reading, absolutely nothing for an hour a day. Now, I'd pretty much answer 4 out of 5 on those. If you answered yes to 3 or more of those questions, you're more than likely coming under that lovely label of an adrenaline junkie. And I don't like to label anyone, but it's just to show you that actually you're creating a stress that possibly you don't want. You can be an adrenaline junkie and use that stress positively. But if you're on this coaching program, I would probably suggest that being an adrenaline junkie is not the way forward for you. There are two natural highs that the body produces. You've got number one, very quick. That's when you get a shot of adrenaline. And then you get slow, and that's through your serotonin levels. Adrenaline switches you on for short bursts when you need it, and serotonin keeps you feeling calm and centered for longer periods. And the secret to a natural high 24/7 is to maintain the right balance between adrenaline and serotonin. There are 5 major natural chemicals that all contribute to whatever mood you're in. Adrenaline, the chemical of speed and heightened alertness. Serotonin, the chemical of happiness and enduring motivation. Cortisol, the chemical of irritation and high anxiety. Melatonin, the chemical of deep, refreshing sleep. And insulin, the chemical that regulates your levels of blood glucose. Now, each of these big 5 chemicals create a distinct cascade of physical changes in your body. If you can learn to recognise their effects, you can intervene and take better control of your moods. You will be calmer, you will be more productive, you will be more focused, your memory will be improved, you'll be more in control, and ultimately, you'll be happier and you'll be more balanced. Now, the 5 big natural chemicals that we've just discussed are activated by 2 distinct biological processes. Bear with me, this is quite a lot to take on board this week. You've got number 1, brain chemistry, subtle, slow-acting, long-lasting. Number 2 is your body chemistry, direct, swift, and volatile. So, if you think about the brain, there are 100 billion neurons in your brain that link up with each other via neurotransmitters to create an almost infinite complex network that governs your memory, your language, your appetite, your mood, your sleep-wake cycle, and so much more. I could go on and on and on about it. There are several key neurotransmitters. So you've got GABA, dopamine, acetylcholine, and serotonin. Serotonin is the most important one for maintaining inner contentment. Now, your body chemistry is regulated by hormones that are produced in the endocrine glands. They secrete into your system and they can have an immediate and a dramatic effect. So, for example, when you have to brake unexpectedly to avoid crashing into the car in front, you will get a sudden flood of adrenaline from the adrenal cortex. Body chemistry is less contained than brain chemistry. Its effects can be more immediately apparent, but they don't last as long. Some chemicals, such as adrenaline and melatonin, work across both systems. Adrenaline functions as both a neurotransmitter in the brain and a hormone in the body. Adrenaline is a hugely powerful chemical force. Learn to use it well. So, purpose of adrenaline, prepare you for fight or flight. That queue in Sainsbury's or hit by a train situation, yeah? When your body secretes adrenaline, the cascade of physical reactions is pretty much, it's like an express train. Your breathing becomes shallow, your blood thickens and your pulse races. Sugar is dumped from the liver and your cholesterol goes up and your appetite's suppressed. You know, if you're suddenly having to brake, so say you're driving home from work and you're going home for dinner and you are starving, and then your mind's drifting off, you're not paying attention to what's happening, you're coming up to a junction, you suddenly realise that the car in front of you's braked suddenly, you have to slam the anchors on, all of a sudden you're not hungry anymore. And it's because you've gone through that process. The shallow breathing, the thicker blood, the sugar dumping, the increased cholesterol, appetite, boom, gone. The buzz that adrenaline gives you is stimulating and exciting, but the problem for adrenaline junkies is that we tend to rely too much on the buzz and end up placing undue stress on the entire system. So while the exact amount of adrenaline in the body varies between individuals, there is a finite amount available every 24 hours. The effects of depleted adrenaline are the same as not having any at all. So too much travel on the adrenaline super expressway leads to cortisol gridlock. Now, you ready for more brain influx? Cortisol is released with adrenaline and works collaboratively with it to manage stressful events. It prepares the body for fight or flight. Now, it does it because it increases muscle tension, hence you suddenly get tight neck and shoulders. It decreases inflammation, it dumps sugar into the bloodstream, and it opens your fat cells. It does have some pretty nasty side effects. High levels of cortisol in your system for prolonged periods will leave you edgy and anxious, aching from tension, headaches and stiff joints, and out of balance and out of control. We hold nearly all our stress and responsibility in our neck and our shoulders, which is why you tend to find people constantly like rolling their shoulders, shrugging them back, trying to get them loose. You won't. For that, you need a sports therapist. But it's because it's the easiest place for us to tighten. You know, when you're bracing yourself for a situation that you don't feel comfortable in, if you actually think about what your body's doing, I will guarantee that you're clenching in. You're trying to make yourself invisible. So you tighten your neck and your shoulders, you suck your tummy in, you bring your waistline in, you clench your bum. All of it is because of that cortisol release. So, an action-packed life is typical of the adrenaline junkie. So you only know two speeds. You're either full on or you're asleep. Now, because the feeling of an adrenaline high is addictive, you can end up trying to be on that high 100% of the time without even realising it. You might not even be aware that this is how you go through your day. You simply move fast in response to a high-speed life. Too much to do to slow down. So I want you this week to start thinking about how you lead your life day to day. Are you rushing around like a loony trying to get everything done? Or are you taking time out for you each day? You should be anyway. The downside to the adrenaline high is the adrenaline crash. Now, this is the feeling of anticlimax when you finish a major project, the restlessness when you feel you're on holiday, and the boredom you endure on a slow day at work. When things aren't happening, you might even feel vaguely depressed. So, say you've got a big project at work coming up, you've got to get it done. You've spent months doing this project. Being the adrenaline junkie, you've left the most important stuff right to the last minute. So you've crashed it the last 2 weeks, worked as hard as you've done it. Project's done. Now what are you going to do? So suddenly you're left feeling deflated. So you need then another project to boost you back up. Now, the other danger of doing everything in fast forward is that adrenaline junkies can end up becoming cortisol cowboys and cowgirls. When the entire day becomes one big stressful event, that is a sign that cortisol's taken over. So you can then end up potentially with something called adrenal fatigue. If cortisol takes over, you will end up in burnout and exhaustion. It could also contribute to serious stress-related illnesses and premature aging. It also makes you much less fun to have around. I've been here, remember? I know this. Cortisol-reliant people are easily rattled. They overreact at pretty much everything. They snap at colleagues and loved ones, and somehow they convince themselves that everything that goes wrong is their fault. Now, 2 years ago, I was here. I'd made the decision to leave my partner, but my God, I was just on a big stress 24/7. Wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating, wasn't looking after myself. But all he had to do was utter something to me and I would fly off the handle. I'd overreact if I had to wait too long in the queue at the supermarket. If there was a queue at the petrol station, I'd rather drive 10 miles and find a station without a queue than wait. If you're an adrenaline junkie who's feeling increasingly miserable, you may well be cranky on cortisol. Now is the time to intervene and re-establish a natural high. So, are you a candidate for burnout? There is a very fine line between being fired up and being burnt out. So are you beginning to drop the ball on important projects? Can you not actually cope with the workload that you've got? Do you feel overwhelmed more often than you think you should? Do you frequently feel worn out at the end of the working day? Do you feel let down by people more often than not? Does your body ache, particularly when you stop being busy? Have you been too busy to call close friends and family members? Have you lost your sense of humour? Does sex seem more trouble than it's worth? Do you have less to say to people in social situations? Think about those questions and answer them honestly. If you're an adrenaline junkie and you are totally relying on your cortisol, basically you will be feeling stress day and night. There will be no respite. But you've got to learn to recognise it and do something about it. Is this you? I hope not. But if it is, we can do something about it. Okay, adrenals. Chronic stress will lead to adrenal burnout. That is bad news, especially for menopausal women. The use of stimulants, any stimulant, so whether it's tea, coffee, alcohol, nicotine, chocolate, sugar, the use of stimulants will make matters worse. Adrenal stress underlies a lot of issues such as autoimmune disorders, hypoglycemia, fatigue, food cravings, poor digestion, poor bowel function, and eczema. Here are your little adrenal glands at the top of the kidneys. That's where they live. These guys are really, really important, and we just don't look after them. I will do that one another day, I think, because I think I've completely overloaded your brains. Okay, adrenals. If you are in adrenal fatigue, it will be characterised by chronic tiredness. Now, this isn't intermittent. This isn't feeling tired one day and then not the next. This is being tired all the time. Not being able to sleep well, night after night after night after night. Lack of emotional balance, so you might find your moods are swinging from one extreme to the other. Difficulty concentrating. Mental confusion, just not being able to make head and tail out of ordinary conversations, or not be able to think clearly and process what you have to do for the day. Now, there are various things that you can take for your adrenals. These are a mixture of the master gland and the Zambrosa are from the Nature Sunshine page, but you can get the others from pretty much anywhere that will help with adrenal fatigue. You can also go and request to be tested by your GP. A lot of GPs won't, because they'll think it's all mumbo jumbo. But quite often they will only test you for Addison's disease. That is a genetic disease for adrenal fatigue, and that's not the same. We're not talking about Addison's disease. Okay, there is a world of difference between being motivated and being overexcited. If track and field athletes are too excited before a race, they peak too early and they don't have enough go for the distance. Adrenaline junkies tend to peak early, go hard and then run on empty. But being overexcited is not a healthy state, not to be in all the time. It's hard on your body, and if you're frantic on cortisol, it's hard on everybody else around you. You need to balance your body chemistry and achieve a calm readiness rather than a hectic energy. The calm readiness is called being in flow, or it's what I call being in flow. Okay? I've got to stop saying okay. There are 5 key lifestyle factors that help you navigate your daily expressway and maintain a natural high 24/7. Number 1, how well you sleep. Number 2, how well you eat. Number 3, how active you are. Number 4, the way you think. And number 5, the way you manage stress. Sleep is hugely underrated. It is so important. It restores chemical balance, it repairs damage to muscle tissue, it processes memories and stories that are significant for your long-term memory, leaves you feeling refreshed and revived when you wake up, gives your digestive system a break. Really, really important that we think about how to get the most beneficial night's sleep that we can. Food has a direct and immediate effect on your internal chemistry. What you eat can elevate your serotonin levels, or it can cause an adrenaline spike, so you need to choose wisely. Activity has both a foundation and a trigger effect. A good fitness level provides a stable foundation for managing pressure with less adrenaline. Now, certain exercises boost the production of serotonin for good, calm vibes. Now, vigorous exercise helps to burn off excess cortisol when times are tough. You remember on the webinar last week, and we looked at different exercises for different moods. Thinking influences your body chemistry profoundly. If you're scared, adrenaline kicks in. If you're sad, serotonin levels decrease. So it's essential to listen to your inner chatter if you want to pursue a naturally high life. Now, stress throws your chemistry out of balance, but you can improve your tolerance to it. You need to learn to recognise your response to stress, and acting appropriately is crucial to avoiding burnout and those crashes. Check your lifestyle. So think about these. Does it take you about 20 minutes to fall asleep at night? Do you wake up and go to bed at pretty much the same time each day? Do you drink more than 8 glasses of water a day? Is your diet a balanced mix of proteins, carbs and fats? Do you eat 3 to 5 meals a day? Do you look for unprocessed, natural or organic products where possible? Do you exercise more than 3 times a week? Do you seek out incidental activity where possible by taking the stairs instead of the lift? Is exercise a habit for you? Do you take responsibility for what happens in your world, or do you blame others? Are you optimistic about the future, or do you see the worst in everything? Do you think well of yourself, or are you constantly putting yourself down? Do your relationships energise you? I don't just mean your partner, I mean relationships with friends, colleagues, neighbours. Are you engaged and focused in your life? Are you still learning something new every single day? Pertinent questions. Sleep is the #1 way to maintain your body balance. With great sleep, you're assured a natural high. Deep sleep means you'll have greater productivity, better focus, more creativity. During the night, the brain breaks down serotonin to create the powerful brain chemical melatonin. Now, this chemical is key to getting a good night's sleep. Its production is triggered by darkness and turned off again by light striking the eye. So serotonin and melatonin work together to create your sleep-wake cycle. Now, there are several factors that can upset this balance. Racing around all morning on adrenaline until you exhaust your daily supply, then continuing the pace on cortisol, leaves your brain overstimulated and your body fatigued. Adrenaline and cortisol mask exhaustion. If you're overtired when you get to bed, you can spend hours trying to calm down enough to fall asleep. Adrenaline junkies are prone to burning the candle at both ends. You will find that if you do this, you will gradually build up a considerable amount of sleep debt so that you just get to the point where you want to sleep for days and days and days. If you're not enjoying plenty of refreshing sleep, you'll find it difficult to remember important details or pay attention during the day, besides the fact that you will lack energy. Not sleeping well is the enemy of peak performance. Don't put up with bad sleep. Work out the source of the problem and then take action to make sure your sleep is refreshing and you wake up revived. Get in a rut with your sleep. So develop a sleep routine. Get up at the same time every day, even the weekend. Don't care how tired you are. Get up. The more regular you are, the better you'll cope with the occasional unavoidable disruption. If you travel, re-establish your routine as soon as you get home. If you're actually in sleep debt, so say for example you've had a week where you've been working, 18-hour days and you've only been sleeping 4 hours a night, so you know that actually you could probably do with an extra 20 hours. Try adding hours to the start of your sleep cycle rather than the end. Sleeping in is not the answer because you're likely to wake up feeling worse than ever. So if you normally go to bed at 10, try going to bed at 9, even 8. Relax before you go to bed. Don't keep working right up until bedtime, trying to get one more thing done. The worst thing you can do is be sat at your computer doing your emails or Facebook or whatever and then turn it off and go straight to bed. The brain is too stimulated. Give yourself permission to chill out for as long as possible before sleeping. Make your bedroom dark. This is really important. Artificial lighting, while generally not bright enough to stimulate serotonin, is bright enough to suppress melatonin. So dim the lights as the evening progresses or burn candles. Read in bed with a mini book light. Control noise. Actually, while I think about it, think about getting some blackout blinds because they can make a huge difference to the quality of your sleep. They are expensive, but they are a good investment. Now, controlling noise. This doesn't mean creating perfect silence because obviously, you know, if you live on the road I live on, you're never going to get perfect silence. But you want to try and prevent as much noise as possible that might prevent you from sleeping if you're not used to it. But level out random noises that interrupt sleep. So earplugs can be wonderful. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm used to my traffic. It doesn't wake me up. But a great big HGV shuttling down the road will wake me up. So earplugs are an option. Regulate your body temperature. If you are too hot or too cold, it will wake you up. So wear nightwear made from natural fibres and have different summer and winter bed covers if your seasonal temperature varies greatly. Don't cuddle all night long if your partner has a higher core temperature than you. Another thing to think about is if you actually both weigh more than 60 kilos, try sleeping on a king-size bed or in two singles pushed together, because the weight of you is going to roll you in towards one another. Bed bugs. Ugh, hate them. Debug your mattress. Change and refill your pillows often. Sleep in crisp, clean sheets. Give the bed linen a good shake daily. Keep your bed fresh and inviting. Get a mattress cover to stop the bed bugs getting through. Exercise during the day. You will get better quality rest if you find a healthy way to tire yourself out. An hour of exercise, particularly aerobic exercise, during the day will pay rich dividends when it's time to turn in. And I cannot tell you, as someone who has recently got a new bed and spent probably the best part of 2 years having interrupted night's sleep, I'm sleeping like a newborn. Fantastic. I wake up feeling refreshed, revived, invigorated. If you can afford a new bed, get one. Because getting a bed that you find truly comfortable can also make a huge difference. You know, I know you can buy a mattress for 150 quid, but I guarantee it'll be lumpy, bumpy and knackered within a year. So buy the best that you can afford. Have that one. Okay, hunger. See, I'm saying okay again. Hunger is your friend. Have you ever noticed that if you don't eat breakfast, you can actually go till maybe 1 o'clock and not even think of food, yet if you eat breakfast, you're hungry by 10. A hunger signal is often an annoyance for adrenaline junkies because they don't want to be bothered by something so basic. Nevertheless, hunger is a good thing. It's a sign that your metabolism is firing and that you have to provide yourself with regular replenishment. Eating regularly saves valuable adrenaline. Now, not eating forces your body into an emergency response. This puts you under unnecessary strain and can lead eventually to stress-related illnesses. Set up good eating patterns and enjoy the better ability to focus that comes from a steady energy supply. Feed your body and learn to focus. My good friend Paul actually says on his current training regime that you don't eat for pleasure, you eat for fuel. And I actually think there's an awful lot of truth in that. I mean, yes, it's much nicer if food's enjoyable, but actually food is the body's fuel. So just think of it like fuel. Okay, now you know you shouldn't ever skip breakfast. Even if you're not hungry, you need to fire up your metabolism with something healthy at the start of each busy day. Even if it's just a boiled egg, get something down you. Don't overdo the refined carbs. Filling up on highly processed carbs produces a rapid rise in blood glucose levels and causes your body to release higher levels of insulin in response. Try not to overdo the fatty food, but this does depend on what fat it's cooked in. So high-fat foods give you a temporary adrenaline spike, but overloading your adrenal system can leave you feeling lethargic and low later. However, if you're going to have fatty food, cook in olive oil and coconut oil because they are heart healthy fats. Now, I've put don't overdo the caffeine. Personally, I would just ditch the caffeine. It can give you unpleasant side effects, headaches, dehydration, irritated gut and sleeplessness. And when you try and come off it, the withdrawal headache can be just vile. Ditch the booze. It's a depressant. It won't help you unwind. It won't help you sleep, and it won't help you feel better. The things you should be doing. Eat low GI carbs for most of your meals. So, multigrain bread if you're doing wheat. If you've gone for the elimination and you're not doing wheat, then you can do options such as rye bread, or I do have a recipe for almond bread. Email me if you're interested on that. Experiment with different grains and legumes. Load up on plenty of vegetables. Leafy, dark green veg is your friend. Think lean for protein. Chicken breast, fish, tofu, grilled, baked or steamed. Good oils. Boost your intake of essential omega-3 fats. So add deep water fish 3 times a week. Add flaxseed oil to salads. As I said, olive oil and coconut oil. Now, supplements. If you know you're going to face a day of crisis management and deadlines, help your body. Take a multivitamin. Just give it a little bit of a boost so it's got some ammunition to fire at. Eat positively. Take the time to savour your food is a handy hint to slow you down. You shouldn't just be putting mouthfuls of food in and swallowing it straight down. Chew it. Taste it. Help your digestive system. Exercise produces its own buzz. Now it leaves you exhilarated on a natural high. Regular exercise lays a foundation for peak performance, gives you more energy, improves your stress threshold and burns up those nasty stress chemicals. Some very, very simple tips. Apologies if I'm teaching you to suck eggs, but sometimes I just think it needs saying. Stand more and sit less. Stand up straight, don't lean or slump. Climb the stairs instead of taking the lift when you can. Park the car the furthest distance from where you want to be and walk the rest of the way. Walk your kids to or from school if you can. Walk up escalators. Go and talk to your colleagues instead of firing off emails and texts all day. Being fit gives you more stamina for handling tough and draining situations. All forms of exercise help you to produce melatonin more effectively for a better night's sleep. Your stress threshold is directly linked to how efficiently your lungs transfer oxygen into your bloodstream. Being fit improves this efficiency, so everyday activities become easier as they begin to fall under your threshold. A regular resistance training program evens out blood sugar levels, which means more stable energy without the ups and downs caused by swinging insulin events. Resistance training can also help to significantly slow down the process of muscle wasting that occurs as we age. Being busy, it seems, in our society is now paralleled with how important we are. So we've got to be really, really busy because that ranks up our importance. We often complain about being overloaded, but somewhere inside we feel the need to be indispensable and in demand. This is crazy. Adrenaline junkies are susceptible to packing their days to the brim. The trap is that being busy can add up to lots and lots of activity that isn't all that productive in the end. The days whiz by in a blur of urgent things to do, but priorities are still neglected and valuable objectives are not accomplished. It is not enough to be efficient. We need to be effective. Get off busy and get down to business. I can get more done, say, doing 90 minutes work and having the rest of the day off than I can spend 8 hours sat on the computer and play on Facebook. Do your most important task first. Remember I mentioned the book, Eat That Frog. That's what that whole book about. Get the most important thing done and out of the way. This isn't checking phone messages, it isn't replying to emails, and it isn't clearing your desk. Eliminate in trays. Work in blocks on projects. File items based on projects. Put each activity for the day through a filter that asks, does this support my main project that I want to get done today? Is it part of something important? Don't put in the hours, produce results. If 20% of what you do reaps 80% of your results, what would happen if you did that 20% 100% of the time? I'm going to read that again because it's really important. So if 20% of what you do reaps 80% of your results, just imagine what would happen if you did that 20% of getting results 100% of the time. You just need to trust that good things don't have to take much time. And that being busy is not the same as being important. Pull back and clear your mind. Okay. Unclench. Do you remember earlier I spoke about being in that fight or flight response, and say you're in a situation you don't like and you try and suck yourself in and you hunch your shoulders up to your ears and you pull your butt cheeks in and your tummy in and tighten your thighs. Become aware of the tension in your body. Unclench the tight muscles in your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. If you're sitting, don't cross your legs. If you're standing, make sure your weight is distributed evenly between both feet and that your spine is long. Don't hip shift and shift your weight all onto one side. Stop fidgeting. Stop tapping, scribbling, chewing, fiddling, using any other little nervous ploys that keep your body tense. Just sit and be comfortable sitting. I'm now wishing that I'd actually recorded myself so you could see that I'm sitting and I'm relaxing my neck and my shoulders. Breathe. This sounds so obvious, but I have to remind so many clients to breathe. Discover what Indian mystics have known for 5,000 years. Your breath is the most effective means at your disposal for controlling your feelings of anxiety. Take several slow, deep breaths in through your nostrils and out through your mouth, and feel the tension melting through your body. So, in through the nose, out through the mouth. One breath, and already I can feel my shoulders have dropped. Talk slowly. Now this has the added effect of slowing you down, and it slows down your thought patterns, and it keeps you more anchored to the here and now. Too many of us are rushing around our daily lives trying to do everything at super speed. Talk slowly and it'll slow everything else down. Embrace silence. Now I know for a lot of people this can be a real challenge, but try taking yourself out somewhere for a little while and just be quiet. Even if it's just to the bathroom. Some adrenaline junkies distract themselves with noise all day and think that the sound of silence is empty and strange. In fact, it's a very powerful counterbalance to a frantic existence. Now, I know when I do relaxation in my Pilates classes, I know the people that are under stress because they're the ones that are not capable of lying down, closing their eyes and just laying there. They just simply cannot do it. So start now and practice just being comfortable in your own silence. Be willing and able. Now these techniques are more effective than seeking comfort in another coffee or a cigarette or a glass of wine. If you want to control your adrenaline spikes, it's within your power to do so, but you've got to be willing to change some of your favourite bad habits. Okay. Now you're probably going to think I'm mad here. Lessons learned in jail. If you don't give prisoners daylight, they become depressed and aggressive. If you don't give prisoners exercise, they become stressed and restless. If you don't let prisoners sleep, they become withdrawn and suicidal. If you don't give prisoners purpose, they become disoriented and listless. If you don't give prisoners food, they become angry and resentful. So are you making a prison for your own body? Get outside, get moving, get eating, get sleeping, get a routine, get a purpose, get your life. So, is this you? Adrenaline junkies are characteristically highly motivated and ambitious and take their work extremely seriously. This means they also tend to be perfectionists. I hold my hand up to that one too. Perfectionism is a special kind of hell. Perfectionists have to be the best or they don't want to know. It's all or nothing. Perfectionists believe they can always do better. In fact, they must do better. Perfectionists live in an endlessly postponed future. The here and now is only a means of moving forward to more impressive achievements. Now, the root cause of perfectionism is often a need for validation. Perfectionists maintain their unrelenting standards in order to receive the admiration and approval of others. But not many perfectionists will admit that. I will. Now, you can eliminate a great deal of self-inflicted anxiety in your life and ease up on your adrenaline events if you can learn to let go of seeking positive feedback to make you feel worthwhile. The only opinion that matters of yourself is yours. So remind yourself that perfection does not guarantee approval. Do it now, procrastinate later. Live in the now and welcome your mistakes. Making a mistake isn't an error. It just means you found a way that doesn't work. One less way to try in the future. Remember, relinquishing the need to achieve all the time is in itself a significant life-enhancing achievement. Cut that out and stick it on a wall. Remember I mentioned about the two types of stress. Eustress, good stress that can help you stretch, grow and expand your comfort zone. Distress, constant stress, too much stress, stress that destroys health and creates a natural low. The point at which eustress becomes distress is different for every individual. We all have our own stress threshold, the point at which we're tipped over the edge. Stressful events can add up and no matter how high your stress threshold is, you can still suffer from burnout. Now, adrenaline junkies under stress go faster. For you, speed is the preferred response to most things. This is dangerous. It makes you far more likely to abuse your body's adrenaline response and increase its reliance on cortisol. Remember what I said earlier about cortisol? Too much cortisol for too long is a recipe for stress-related ill health. Rather than trying to go faster and ending up exhausted, get rid of those things that are slowing you down. Remember how to relax. Adjust your attitude to time. Enjoy more pause in your life. And free up your capacity. The result will be effortless speed. And that's got to be better. Set aside a time where you don't do a thing. No telly, no reading, no cup of tea, no phone calls, no email, no computer, no nothing. Just sit. Don't do a single thing during that time. Do this often. Now, if you've never done it before, a minute is going to seem like the longest time in the world. So you start on a minute, where you just sit and don't do anything for a minute. And then as you get used to it, you increase your time. You've got to schedule that time in when you do absolutely nothing. It's important. Meditation may not be your answer. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. But don't believe that meditation has to be sitting with that crossed leg going on. It doesn't. Meditation is personal to every individual. So meditate your own way. Maybe active meditation like Tai Chi, rock climbing, embroidery, writing poetry. So the goal isn't simply to seek distraction, but to seek engagement and mental stimulation. This is a powerful way to center you in the living moment and put you in a state of calm readiness. Okay, in time. People who live in time do not notice the passing minutes. They tend to bury themselves in an activity only to be astonished when they notice they've not eaten or when they get a call telling them they missed an important meeting. Through time, People who live through time can tell you what time it is fairly accurately without looking at a watch. It's as if they're highly attuned to the passing of the hours. They automatically gauge how long every task will take, and they can make impressively accurate estimations. Now, if you're an in-timer, you typically run late, you immerse yourself in what you're doing, you produce results, but not always when required. You tend to take on too much, and you can be very spontaneous. If you're an in-time adrenaline junkie, you're always waking up to some emergency or other. Not thinking ahead leaves you in a constant state of reaction, and a little forethought and planning can make a world of difference. Through timers do what they say they will. They don't commit lightly, they focus on details, they possibly could take more risks, and they try to make others more aware of time. If you're a through-time adrenaline junkie, you never escape a sense of urgency. You make everything a priority, and as a result, nothing is. A little more respect for flexibility and a focus on what's important will help you loads. Okay, if you're going down the supplement protocol route for stress, these are 4 products I can recommend for stress. You've got NutriCalm. Zambrosa is a fantastic antioxidant drink that tastes fab and makes you feel great. Vitamin C, I think everybody should be taking it anyway, only because we just don't get enough of it in our diet. And omega-3 will help with those adrenals. The other substances I suggested were either Oxylift for oxygenation and Lugol's iodine to help the thyroid. You can also take, there is a supplement called ashwagandha, helps with stress. Rhodiola also helps with stress. And then magnesium spray is fantastic for sleep. I will bash those details in an email out to you now anyway. You can buy the ashwagandha and the rhodiola and the magnesium spray, actually, you should be able to get from Holland & Barrett. The others, I would be inclined to buy them online, Nature's Sunshine, Phil Richards or Element Nutrition, because they are better quality. Well done, guys. I'd love to know what you think to this week's webinar, so leave your comments and I'll speak to you soon. Health and happiness. Bye for now.